By the same man for over a decade. There's a new bench boss for the Raiders, of course, not without a reminder of the old. Call it irony, call it a hope for sustained success and a bright future, but whatever it is, the symbolism of unfurling 3 banners here at Class of 1965 Arena is not lost on these Raiders. Brendan Miller here with Madison Huritsik as Colgate hosts Minnesota Duluth in its home opener. A top 10 bout on the horizon here in Hamilton and Madison. What are these two teams hoping for the result is tonight?
This is going to be a physical, intense weekend series. 2 games against 2 top 10 teams with a ton of history. Coach DeCoste was talking about how this is going to be a little bit of a benchmark for the Raiders. They're a little on the young side, especially with a very experienced Bulldog roster that they'll be facing. So this is going to be a good test to see where they are, where they need to improve, but also get a really good series on their resume heading into an ECAC run later this season.
Yeah, I think if you take a look at these two teams and how they have actually performed coming into this game, I mean, it's really been led by those in the back. So for Colgate, Hannah Murphy, obviously wearing that C, that means so much, serving as a captain for this Colgate team. And then on the other side, you have a player like Evie Gachon, who is just one of the best goalies in the country. Both of them really, really up there as far as, you know, who these teams around the country, if you had to do a fantasy draft, these two would probably be 2 of the first off the board in that.
Absolutely. I mean, they're both very athletic. They're both so smart as well. They know when to make the right calls, how to communicate with their teammates. They're just smart goalies, and that's so beneficial for very different reasons on both sides of this game this afternoon.
So into this one, these two teams sitting at 2-0 and 1-1 on the records so far. Minnesota Duluth 2-0, and those wins mean quite a bit. 2 victories over the then number 1 team in the country, the Buckeyes of Ohio State. Colgate comes in after splitting a series with Mercyhurst down in Erie, Pennsylvania, and now trying to pick up win number 2 on the season. But those wins for Minnesota Duluth coming in, I mean, to pick up 2 victories over the number 1 team in the country coming in, that's just massive. It
was huge, and it had been a long time since Minnesota Duluth had defeated Ohio State as well. And I think another thing we need to mention here, Minnesota Duluth was supposed to host Syracuse last weekend. This was supposed to be game 5 and 6 for this Bulldog team, but unfortunately because of the Hurricane Helene travel, cancellations and things like that, that series has been postponed to January now.
So some fresh legs coming in for the Bulldogs as they now try and get something going here in the offensive end. Just over a minute in, and we're still looking for the first shot on goal for the Raiders, although there has been one on the other side. A nice save by Hannah Murphy, steering out over into the far corner. We mentioned it a little bit in the opening, but this is a new era for this Colgate Raiders team as that one steered up back in behind the glass, mainly due to the man who is leading them from the bench. It is no longer Greg Fargo. Of course, he was hired away by the what was then PWHL New York team, now the New York Sirens, and he will lead them in the Women's Professional League. So no longer the man leading this Colgate team. Instead, it's a guy who knows them pretty well, though, Stefan DeCoste, who was an assistant coach starting in 2015-16 and has now moved into that head coaching role.
Well, first off, I just have to say, New York Sirens, great name for
awesome.
PWHL.
It's so
all
good.
of them are great. I really like all of the names that the PWHL has selected for those teams. But going back to DeCoste here, one of the things that I think will really stand out is that he has been around this program for so long, so the players already trust him. It wasn't like there was a new head coach coming in that the players had to get used to, a new dynamic. This is somebody that they know. This is somebody that, you know, he helped recruit them. And so that trust didn't have to kind of be re-earned by any means. It was just a matter of, okay, what are the changes this team is going to make?
Yeah, when you get a guy who is, nice save there and a good shot. That came from Malachino, but when you get a guy who has been in your program, started as a volunteer assistant coach, so just showing up whenever he could, you know, one of those, you're not getting paid for it, but you really do enjoy coming to the rink and practicing and making sure that your team is the best that they can possibly be. You know, when you get a guy like that who has now worked his way to what is his first head coaching position, that means a lot, especially to these players that he recruited as well.
There's so much respect that comes with the fact that not only is this somebody they know, they trust, but they've seen go up through the ranks. They've seen him develop as a coach. It adds another layer to how easy it is for this team to be able to get into the groove of working with a new head coach.
Yeah, but when you see your coach develop right along with you, the same guy that told you you would be a good fit at this university and in this program, that means a lot. And you know, you're more privy to try and play a little harder for that guy.
And he takes so much pride in it as well. He's so engaging with his team. You can watch it during practice. He's making direct eye contact, big gestures, big emotions during practice. You know, he can tell how much, you can see it over on the bench right now, him gesturing, kind of coaching through some other Raiders. So and it's just so obvious how much he cares for this program.
New York guy, played his college hockey at SUNY Geneseo, one of the top Division III programs, and not just in New York State, but in the country as well. So definitely is first in the game. Loose puck stays in the crease, but the Raiders are going to be able to clear it. No, they do not get it past the blue line, so another long shot and another save by Murphy. Now the Raider defense does grab it, and they will carry out. You know, when we talked to head coach Stefan DeCoste about his team and how exactly they play, he mentioned the defense specifically. They're a little bit young on that back end, and so he told us it's defense by 5. All 5 players going to have to be important to make sure that teams aren't getting chances in the offensive zone.
And that's where having such a goalie like Hannah Murphy is really going to come into play. You've got that leadership at that back line to kind of help guide through in real time. But he also talked about how the best way to get experience for this team is to put them against teams like Minnesota Duluth that are so deep and so aggressive and so physical. That's going to give them the ability to grow at a faster pace than maybe just coaching.
Shot saved by Murphy right into her chest and down. A little extra pushing and shoving there on the back end. Why not, right? Throw some hands here. You mentioned the physical play early, but so far in this one, it does seem like Minnesota Duluth holding the puck a little bit longer in that offensive end.
I think it's some of the stick skills. They're holding control of it. They're using the ability to pull the puck across their body a little bit more. And so I think it's just kind of the nature of how Minnesota Duluth is playing their game, and Colgate's still kind of settling in right now.
So we're in that far corner, turned around, but the Raiders are there. Now touched past the defensive blue line, carrying through. Pice has it, but loses it. And now the Bulldogs again carrying into the offensive zone. That shot was over the top. No contact by Murphy to get the save. Instead, just a little bit wide. Now from distance, save made, steered into the far corner. Team's pushing around, trying to win possession. And off the glass it goes. Goes to Pice. Her pass a little bit long. Intended on that far side for Madeline Palumbo. Did not get there. All the way down it goes. We get a whistle for icing, but just under 5 minutes gone here in period number 1. And so far, it's Minnesota Duluth holding it a lot in the offensive zone. The shots on goal 5-1. Where does the offense really pick up here for the Raiders, do you think?
Well, winning a face-off here is going to be key. Being able to set up a play. They have not had a chance to do that, whereas Minnesota Duluth has had a ton of opportunities to kind of try and set up a play and make something happen.
Taking that face-off down there, our player to watch here for these Raiders, Kalti Kaltenkova, who is one of the best players, again, in the country. You said if you're going to do a fantasy draft, you might see these goalies go pretty early. You might see her go pretty early as well. I mean, a player who has just put up points season after season, now in her 5th year coming out of Czechia, and just, I think it's 56 points for her in back-to-back years. A player that you can really rely on to get some scoring. That said, she's yet to do that this season. Still looking for that first goal.
She is still looking for that first goal. She's had a couple opportunities, particularly in that first game against Mercyhurst last weekend, But I think the thing that sticks out the most is that she has a great vision. She has the ability to really make plays happen just as much as she can put the puck in the back of the net.
Yeah, a player who is not just known for putting the puck in the back of the net herself, but also dishing out if she needs to and finding some of her teammates on those wings. Puck goes all the way around. Murphy went back in behind her net to try and play it, but it hopped up and over her stick. Now some physical play up against the boards, but it escapes the offensive end for the Bulldogs, goes all the way down.
Colgate using the boards to try and make it a little bit more difficult for these Bulldogs. This has been working right now. Dangerous
rebound in front, but a good tie up there defensively keeps things away from Murphy once again. Now coming through, Brick just throws it in, and now she will follow back in behind the net, looking to force a turnover. Does get it out to the top. Ooh, that had a chance to be dangerous, but no. Redirected. Long shot goes wide. Off the board, stays with Colgate. Eichfeld was down low there trying to keep that possession and now drops back into her defensive spot. Pass that was going right at Murphy, but was stopped there by Eichfeld again, and now Colgate took it through center, lost possession. Carlson through with speed into the front, and that was just deflected away, but a dangerous chance. One of the better ones that we have seen here from Minnesota Duluth.
That might have been the Bulldogs' best chance so far. I think that the Raiders had a good setup most of the way through. Having that double team on that pass worked. I think the thing that actually Colgate is missing on the offensive side, though, since we've been pointing it out, they've been missing a few of those passes between the blue lines. That's been a key reason why they haven't been able to get into the zone as cleanly as the Bulldogs have.
Missing a few of those breakout passes. You know, we mentioned earlier Colton Kova, the player to watch for Colgate. On the other side, though, it's just the inverse. It's a player who is also playing in that same exact spot, that first line center position. But we mentioned the experience for Colton Kova. On the other side, Caitlin Kramer, a freshman, a first year for this Bulldogs team, but she has been a contributor for this team through those first two games. Just absolutely outstanding in her first collegiate experience.
Well, when you score two goals in one game against the defending national title holders, I mean, that's one way to make your collegiate debut. Another thing to point out, there are 3 freshmen for Minnesota Duluth playing center right now. It's the first time that they've had 3 freshman centers in a UMD lineup since the opening game in its NCAA era history, which was about 2000-2001.
Yeah, so a young team, but when you can rely on them to put points on the board, you will take that any day of the week. So a good turnaround there by the Colgate defense. That pass trying to get into the middle, but the Bulldogs doing a good job of keeping that in right at the blue line. Those defensemen are really, really working hard. Pines back in behind the net. And possession goes to the Bulldogs. They carry it through. Mobley forced back in behind once again, looking for some help in the middle. Just looping back in. O'Brien now with the puck. And Colgate's able to turn it around and out again. So no shot coming there, and that offensive chance for the Bulldogs. Oh, here's a chance going the other way. Looking to wrap around. No. Trying to find a little bit of help there in the front. O'Bain had a really good chance, but opted to go for the pass instead of that wraparound shot, and it went off the back of the net. Did not get in front to give anyone a chance.
It was really smart to wrap around, especially with how close she was to the net at that point. So making that wraparound was the right decision. I think with that Bulldog defender coming in, she trying to opted for that pass instead.
Oh, there's a really good chance from in close, but no, knocked away. wraps around. Gascon played it behind her own net. Couldn't get it out, though. Raiders wrap it around the boards. Biederman loses the physical battle there. Minnesota Duluth carries through center. Cannot keep possession. Drop back to the D pair. There's another breakout pass that just didn't connect there for the Raiders. They got to go and try and chase that down once again. Looking for something in the middle. Nobody there. Through center. Now off the boards. Colgate keeps it. They really have not had an opportunity to kind of set up offensively. Oh, here's a chance. Minnesota Duluth off the pipe and out. Beat the goalie. But hey, that's why they call those pipes a goalie's best friend.
Exactly. Wow, that was, yeah, we talk about great chances over and over again for the Bulldogs. Just one-upping an opportunity that we saw just a few minutes ago.
Oh, in close. Puck is loose, but not really a threat for Murphy. She had closed off that near side post. But here's a chance. Carlson comes back to her. Can't keep possession. Puck still loose, though. Bergen throws it into the middle. Intercepted. Raiders go the other way. Stewart will just throw it in and then go to the bench for a change. So some fresh legs coming out here for the Raiders. With that, they do lose possession, though. Now here's a good rush, and that's blockered away. Over to the far corner. Colgate again grabs it. Again, gets it out. Nina Brick, the one to get possession. Through center. Looking for a long shot. Knocked down. Backhanded out by Palumbo. And Palumbo just throws it around. Oh, here's a good chance. Carlton Kova with a ripper and a nice save. Gascon got that blocker there. They have to play it back in behind the net again. Biederman goes now into the middle. Carlton Kova again, and just had that one taken away. Looking for the one-timer.
She's certainly chomping at the bit
to
get her first goal of the season.
Yeah, it's one of those. I think she might know that she doesn't have a goal, so really trying to ramp that up. Two good shots. Well, one good shot and then tied up to prevent a good shot. But with that, we will head to our break here in period at number sides. But we will be right back for the final 7:23 of the first. Colgate, Minnesota Duluth tied up at 0.
Speed, skill, physicality. Home to college hockey's elite teams, coaches, and student athletes. ECAC Hockey. 12 programs competing at the highest level. A league where champions are born and world-class professionals are trained. Where history is abundant and a commitment to the cutting edge is unrivaled. The best facilities, the fiercest competition. ECAC Hockey. There's no experience like it.
Curtis Lumber is the professional's choice for home improvement. Whether you're a builder, contractor, or do-it-yourselfer, you can count on Curtis Lumber for premium products and expert advice. Whenever remodeling or building new, see the pros at Curtis Lumber for windows and doors, roofing and siding, decks and building packages, floors, and more. Stop in to see your friendly pros at your local Curtis Lumber, now with 23 locations to serve you.
The second half of period number 1, Brennan Miller here alongside Sorry, Madison. I just had to make sure that I got the last name right. I apologize.
All
I promise
good.
I know the first name. Madison Haridzik. There we go. And Madison, through the first half here of this first period, what have you really seen from both of these sides?
Well, you're seeing Minnesota Duluth really attack out of the gate. They have been very strong, forechecking a ton. Colgate took a little while to settle in. That last few minutes, probably about 90 seconds or so, was the first time we really saw the Raiders kind of get into a little bit of an offensive rhythm. They're settling into the game a little bit more. I think some of it is they were trying to figure out the pace, maybe got a little blindsided by how quickly the Bulldogs wanted to run. But overall, the last about 2 minutes, 90 seconds, maybe a little over 2 minutes, has felt a lot more even than those first 5 minutes did.
You ever seen a Bulldog run? I haven't.
I have, believe it or not. As a former JMU JMU student,
All
I
right.
have indeed seen a Bulldog run.
Save there. Murphy turns it to the near side. The Raiders again just trying to get out of this defensive zone. Borgil goes back. Colton Kova working hard here in the near corner to try and turn it away. Does get out to the point, but a long shot looking for a deflection goes wide of the net. Wrapped around the board, stays with Minnesota Duluth. Now back in behind Borgil. Looking for some help. Oh, some extra back in behind the play. Still up at the point. There's still 2 players down, and it looks like we're going to get a penalty coming on from the near side official.
Say it looked like a harmless play at first. 2 of them just going on the boards, falling over, and then they stayed down.
Yeah.
And now Colgate actually is going to have its first power play opportunity of the evening.
Yeah, power play here for the Raiders. Head in the box, Jenna Laurie will sit. And yeah, it did. It seemed like it was a harmless enough play right there in front of Colgate's bench, and then it just continued to happen. And it was, you can see why there would be an arm going up, a delayed penalty there going against the Bulldogs. So Laurie will sit. 2 minutes, power play here for the Raiders, and they win that face-off, an important one, to try and get something first on the board. A save, and then Colgate has to go back and chase. A good clearance there after one attempt by Minnesota Duluth. 5:17 to go in period number 1. 1:40 left on the power play as the Raiders come back into the offensive end. Chipped up and cleared out once again. Another good clearance there for the Bulldogs. This power play has been an area of strength for this Raiders team. Of course, saw that shot that came right after they won that face-off, but you would expect them to get really good chances offensively when they're a woman up.
Yeah, started this season with 3 power play goals at Mercyhurst. Was a really strong start on the woman advantage here. And I think a lot of it is because they move the puck quickly, especially once they get set. They're able to move and kind of make some things get a little creative and really be able to kind of trick up a defense.
Seeing that here, but of course you can't always account for the puck taking a hop there over the stick of Emma Pice. So under a minute to go here on the power play. Still just the one shot on goal for the Raiders. And the Bulldogs send it back down once again. So looking at 1, maybe 2 chances, depending on how fast Colgate can get out of their defensive end and carry over that blue line. Oh, good speed, far side, shot, save, and a good one. Puck still loose just outside the crease. Raiders stay with it. They've got 13 seconds to go on the power play. Puck loose, coming across. What a save there by Gascon. Stole it away on the power play. They stay, coming out of the box. Long shots went up over the top. Laurie escapes, so now the Bulldogs back to full strength. Colgate trying to win another one. Puck still loose again. That got knocked out before it got in to Gascon. but cleared out and at full strength. The cover there for Murphy, but we're going to get a penalty going against the Raiders. A trip whistled, and it's going to be Minnesota Duluth now with a power play of their own to answer.
Yeah, that was coming out of the breakout after that last save. I'll get back to that save in one moment. But, yeah, it was just one of those coming through. It looked like she was trying to almost hip check to try and kind of create some movement here. Didn't work out, ended up being a trip. But going back to this save, you know, I was watching the Buffalo Sabres New Jersey Devil game this afternoon.
Yeah.
And I had made a comment to a friend. I was like, you know, the save of the year may have just happened on the first NHL game of the season. I think that's a candidate for save of the year for the first women's hockey game in this arena.
Yeah, that was an absolute robbery there. I mean, Gascon, it's always those dangerous ones, and you don't really expect it because you want all your shots to be on goal. Another chance, another beautiful save, this time coming down on the other end. Murphy takes it away. But how about that, an answer? The Colgate goalkeeper.
Apparently we're just going to go back and forth for best save of the night on the power play.
Yeah, why not? Let's take another look at that. Some really good puck movement from the Bulldogs, but loose puck. If that had gotten elevated at all, probably 1-0, but no, Murphy comes over and gets the pad in front.
Well, you can see she's tracking that puck the entire time. She's already halfway over to the other post before the puck even got on the stick again. She had that movement and was ready to go, and you could see the glove side even starting to come up a little bit as well. She was prepared for that lift.
So we'll get a face-off here in the defensive end for the Raiders. I'm just saying, that shot that goes wide, then goes off the boards, comes out on the other side, it's just so tough to try and defend in goal because you just never know where that puck is going to end up. And that's what happened down on the other end for Gascon. Of course, it was a little better of a chance over on the near post over here going against Murphy, but regardless, two beautiful saves.
I think that's where a lot of goalies kind of wish that they had eyes on the back of their head.
Yeah. You got to rely on that defense a little bit to tell you if that puck came out on that opposite side from where the shot came from, if it ended up going into the back of the net, and you got to get a defender back in to try and play behind you. But regardless, we're getting a little discussion here. The officials over conversing with the bench for the Bulldogs. Head coach Laura Schuler in there. First year, another coach who has kind of moved into that position after being at a lesser spot in the coaching staff. Well, you don't want to say lesser. Maybe less responsibility spot in the coaching
that's
staff.
probably the better way of saying it.
Yeah. But now whatever that discussion